we're talking defensive coordinator candidates. Well, yes, plural candidates, even though it doesn't really seem like it is going to be a real search. The Cowboys are going to hire, reportedly have hired, set to hire, zeroing in, pick your terminology on Matt Eberflus. It seems like he is going to be the guy for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll explain what the heck's going on here. We will have more updates for you on the Cowboys coaching search. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/Cowboys TV. Don't give your money to the Jones boys. Give it to me and my family and Mr. Toaster so I can feed my family. Let's go to the first Ed Warner tweet here on Matt Eberflus. He reported at 9:24 or 10:24, whatever it was, p.m. Eastern Time. The Cowboys have hired Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator on Brian Schottenheimer's staff. He was a defensive assistant under Rod Marinelli, blah, blah, blah. There's one big issue here with this. There's one large problem, and that is you can't do that yet. The Cowboys have to fulfill the Rooney Rule here. They have to interview 2 outside minority candidates. So Ed Warner, 20 minutes later, someone in the Cowboys office went, shit, we can't do that. No, don't do that. Said Eberflus has emerged as a candidate to be the next DC and discuss the position, but team will first conduct interviews as required by league rules before the final decision. So there has to technically be a coaching search, even though there's not really going to end up being a search because the whole thing's just funny and a mess, and it's all just stupid, and somehow the Cowboys can't even do the defensive coordinator hire properly. So knowing it's probably and is going to be Matt Eberflus, who do you want as the Cowboys defensive coordinator? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. It'll be the pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. We will get to other names mentioned that I had listed as potential candidates. I'm very upset that the Cowboys organization did not give me a chance to do an actual DC candidate search because he was behind the list. This looks so smart. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. When Eberflus has been a defensive coordinator, it's normally gone pretty well, all things considering. Now, the Bears team stunk last year before he got fired midway through. Defensively, they still had done some good things. That defense kind of rallied from what was a bottom-of-the-barrel defense when Eberflus took over. Down the stretch of 2023, they performed as a top 5 unit, top 10 unit. They were actually very good. And until the disaster against the Commanders when it all fell apart, that defense was doing a good job. And in Indy, he had every year in Indy in his 3 years as defensive coordinator, they were at least average in yards, and they had 2 years in the top 10 in points allowed. He was a longtime Cowboys linebackers coach. This is someone the team knows. I actually, in all honesty, I don't have very many complaints about this likely expected, probably going to happen hire of Matt Eberflus as the Cowboys DC. I think you can find a good DC. This is a fine hire. I don't like the fact that, again, it's just going to the buddy system, going back that route and going, yeah, we got our friend back in here. The gang's all back together. I think there are real things you have to figure out. I think you have to make sure you got good defensive tackles. The Eberflus scheme, he does not blitz. He is a 4-down pass rush type of guy. That's why he needed Montez Sweat on that team. So I think you're going to have to get good front 4. You need better defensive tackles. You need, better options at the cornerback spot, given the uncertainty around Trayvon Diggs. But in a bubble, I actually have no issues going with the Matt Eberflus hire as DC. That's not an issue for me at all. Other names we'll discuss here as well on today's show, but I have no issues with Matt Eberflus there. Now, Jane Slater reporting this. A source informed tells me, and even David Moore is now changing from hired to the favorite. Read between the lines, guys. Source informed tells me the Cowboys have not quit the process of hiring Matt Eberflus, that someone held in high regard, blah, blah, blah. Not part of their considerations is having Jason Witten on the staff, which is a direct contrast, I think there's a second tweet there too, Chris, to what had been reported previously. It says, while Jerry's been in a relationship with him and they've talked in months, it appears my sense of him being part of the plan or extension at this point haven't been discussed, in fact. Okay, we'll see. Press X to doubt in the comments section, because I kind of feel like it's still going to end up having Jason Witten on staff. That I would be actually kind of happily surprised, because the whole time it's felt like he was going to be forced on to the staff. So we'll see about Witten. We'll see on that front, but we'll keep it defensive focused beyond here. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It's available in over 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. They invented the best place to get real money sports action. They also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks is not right. They're also giving you the free square, as painful as it is in NFC Championship week, to take Jaden Daniels' single passing yards. Take James Cook, McLaurin, Saquon, touchdown 2, more than, less than. Do the flex play. Good chance to come out on top. Download the PrizePicks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, the Bears defense kind of faded down the stretch this year. They were, I will say, the numbers were much better overall when they had Matt Eberflus in there. They got worse as soon as he left. Now, the whole team had kind of folded, so it was to be expected on that front. But I don't have any real issues with this likely hire of Matt Eberflus as the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Now, we will look at other names, other possible defensive coordinator candidates here in just a second. Before we get to that, I want you guys to grade the possible Matt Eberflus hiring. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Grade the possible Matt Eberflus hiring. A, B, C, D, or F. Again, they're seemingly zeroing in on Eberflus as their next DC. So we'll go 8-5 to start, and then we'll go 4-1 on some other names I have in mind here for the defensive coordinator search. Now, I had guys like Robert Saleh on here. I had Al Harris on here. Robert Saleh has now taken the job as the Niners DC. That happened a minute after the Cowboys made their hire, so that was done. And Al Harris is the new Bears DB's coach / passing game coordinator. Dennis Allen certainly seems like he's going to be the Bears DC, but they're going to do the real search and interview minority candidates and blah, blah, blah. Wink Martindale seemingly wants back in the NFL. It's fine. Gus Bradley actually never overlapped with Schottenheimer in Seattle or Jacksonville or LA. They were all at different times at that spot, but not together. His defenses also haven't been that good. I would not be surprised if a name like Ken Norton Jr. gets a call, if the Commanders lose this weekend, by the way, to be the Cowboys' next defensive coordinator. Obvious ties to the organization, ties with Brian Schottenheimer. They coached together in Seattle. I've got my notes here on Ken Norton Jr. He never had a top 10 points per game defense in his years coordinating defenses, and he was never higher than 16th in yards per game. One time he was in the top 20. Not a good defensive coordinator. We'll keep an eye on Leslie Frazier as well. He is a current Seattle Seahawks assistant, the former Vikings head coach as well. Frazier interviewed for the Cowboys head coaching job. I think you have to do a separate interview for the DC, which is, again, an embarrassment that you're trying to count them both at once. So wouldn't be shocked if he's an obvious DC interview option there. You might even see a Chris Richard get called again, because Richard's everyone's go-to to fulfill a rule that they don't actually want to hire. I will mention Rex Ryan here as well. Now, I think Rex was lying when he said the Cowboys couldn't get the money to work on the defensive coordinator side. They wanted Mike Zimmer. They interviewed Rex Ryan. I think he was in second place for that job, but he was the head coach when Brian Schottenheimer was the OC in New York. So obvious ties there. Mike Zimmer is not under contract. Now, I don't know if he wants to be a defensive coordinator. I don't know if he wants to take on that job anymore. He might want to go back to like the Cincinnati area and be a consultant and, marry his model fiance and just live life. Like, that's fine. And then, of course, Matt Eberflus is the obvious number one candidate here for the Dallas Cowboys as their next defense coordinator. This feels like when, not if. So maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but the reporting being he's been hired to, oh, wait, we have to do a search. I read between the lines. It seems like it's going to end up being Matt Eberflus as this team's next defensive coordinator.